Well, the administration is certainly touting it, right? We heard from officials on their way back on Air Force One, and they're highlighting not just the conversation with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, but also all of the deals that were inked with our allies. Now, some of these deals are a little short on details, but they do all go to show how the U.S. has been trying to bolster its standing in other positions in order to counter China down the line. Because you sort of hit on it at the top there. What we're seeing is a pause in the tension and easing in the tension, but it is clear that those fundamental structural issues that really started the trade war with Beijing are unresolved, and it's going to take a lot more time to hammer it out. But just look at what happened in Japan, a slew of investment commitments when it comes to these critical sectors that the U.S. has deemed essential when it comes to competition with China, such as shipbuilding, artificial intelligence, energy infrastructure, things like that. Same thing with this deal that was inked here in South Korea, finally putting pen to paper on that trade deal that will see South Korea have tariffs at 15% in exchange, again, for investment and close coordination when it comes to critical minerals and shipbuilding as well. So it feels like the White House is trying to put forward that this is a holistic approach for the U.S.'s competition. And I will quickly add, when it comes to industries like critical minerals, it is really important that we have seen the U.S. go to these foreign allies for cooperation, because up to this point, this White House has really focused on domestic solutions, right? We've seen the U.S. take stakes in MP Materials and Trilogy Metals and domestic companies, but now we are seeing them turn towards our allies, as previewed by the Australia deal just a week before this trip, and then those pacts that were signed while over here in Asia.
So between the U.S. and China, we've talked about fentanyl, we talked about soybeans, and we were starting to see some clarity there. But though earlier touted by the president, sales of Nvidia's Blackwell chips to China were not discussed, Tyler?
Nope. According to President Trump, Nvidia's Blackwell chips did not come up, as well as whether or not a downgraded version of the processor would be on the table for sales. President Trump instead told reporters that they discussed chips and perhaps other Nvidia products, but nothing related to the Blackwell line. It is worth pointing out that a few months ago, President Trump had floated that he might consider allowing a downgraded version of the processor to be sold, but now it appears that we might be on a separate track, or perhaps we're just opening up negotiations. We're going to have to wait and see. It's something we're going to track closely. He did say that Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is going to be in direct contact with China on this issue. We know, of course, that Nvidia has been trying to regain its market access in China. According to the company, at one point at their peak, they had 95% of market share in China. Now, of course, that is down to 0.